Jazz. It all started with one phone call. Not a loud one, not an angry one. Just a quiet voice on the other end saying 5 words that would change everything. You deserve to know the truth. At first, Jazz, I thought it was a prank. People don't call strangers just to destroy their lives. Or maybe they do. I almost hung up. My finger was already on the screen. Jazz. But something about that woman's voice stopped me. She didn't sound excited. She didn't sound cruel. She sounded guilty. Before I could ask who she was, she whispered another sentence. Jazz. The man you trust the most isn't who you think he is. Then the call ended. I stared at my phone for what felt like forever. No number, no name, nothing. Just silence. Jazz. If someone had told me that morning my entire world would fall apart before sunset, I would have laughed, because from the outside, my life looked perfect. I had a successful career, a beautiful home. Jazz. Friends who always said I was lucky. And most importantly, I had Daniel, the man everyone believed was the definition of loyalty, including me. We had been together for almost 7 years. Jazz. 7 birthdays. 7 anniversaries. 7 years of memories that I thought meant something. Daniel wasn't flashy. He wasn't the type to post romantic messages every day. He wasn't perfect, Jazz. But he always knew exactly what to say when life became difficult. When my father passed away, Daniel never left my side. When I lost my first job, he reminded me that failure wasn't forever, Jazz. When I doubted myself, he became my confidence. Or at least, that's what I believed. Looking back now, I realize something strange. Sometimes the people who comfort you after every problem, Jazz, are the same people secretly creating them. But I didn't know that yet. I drove home that evening trying to forget the mysterious phone call. Maybe someone had the wrong number, Jazz. Maybe it was a jealous person trying to cause problems. Maybe nothing. Daniel was already home when I arrived. The smell of dinner filled the kitchen. He smiled the moment he saw me. Long day, Jazz? I nodded. He walked over, kissed my forehead, and took my bag like he always did. It felt normal, comfortable, safe, yet something inside me had changed. For the first time in years, Jazz. I looked at him differently, not with love, not with hate, with questions I couldn't explain. During dinner, Daniel talked about work, a difficult client, an upcoming business trip, Jazz. A funny conversation with one of his co-workers. Usually I listened carefully. That night, I noticed something else. Every time his phone vibrated, he flipped it over before reading the message. Every Jazz. Single time. Had he always done that? Or was I only noticing because of the phone call? Our minds are strange. Once doubt enters, it begins searching for evidence even when none exists. Jazz. After dinner, we watched television together. Or at least the television was on. I couldn't remember a single scene. My thoughts kept replaying those 5 words. You deserve to know the truth. Truth about what? About Daniel? About me? About our life? I barely slept that night. Around 2 in the morning, I opened my eyes. Daniel wasn't beside me. The bedroom door was slightly open. Jazz. A faint light came from downstairs. I quietly walked toward the staircase. His voice floated through the darkness. Soft, almost impossible to hear. Don't worry. A pause. No, she doesn't know. Jazz. Another pause. I'll handle it. My heart skipped she. Who was he talking about? I stayed completely still then. The floor creaked beneath my foot. Daniel immediately ended the call. Jazz. Seconds later, he walked into the hallway. Oh, he smiled. You scared me. I couldn't sleep, so I was checking work emails. At 2 in the morning? It sounded strange, Jazz. But he said it so naturally that I almost believed him. Almost the next morning, he acted as if nothing had happened. He made coffee. He joked about my messy hair. He reminded me to drive safely. Jazz. If he was hiding something, he was incredibly good at it. Days passed, then weeks. I tried convincing myself I was overthinking. Life slowly returned to normal, until another message arrived. This time it wasn't a phone call. It was an envelope, no return address. Inside was only one photograph, nothing else. The picture showed Daniel leaving a hotel. He wasn't alone. Standing beside him was a woman wearing sunglasses. They weren't holding hands, they weren't kissing, but they looked comfortable. Too comfortable. The back of the photograph had 6 handwritten words. "This is only the beginning." My hands started shaking. I called Daniel immediately. No answer. Agon. No answer. Agon. Straight to voicemail. I wanted to believe there was an explanation. Maybe it was a client. Maybe it was an old friend. Maybe the picture meant nothing. But then I remembered the late-night phone call, the hidden messages. The mysterious woman. Suddenly, nothing felt normal anymore. I looked closer at the photograph. In the corner of the image, barely visible, was the reflection of another person taking the picture. Someone had been watching Daniel. For how long? And why send the evidence to me instead of confronting him? Questions kept multiplying and wonders stayed hidden. That evening Daniel came home carrying flowers. "My phone died," he said before I even asked. He smiled exactly the way he always did, warm, confident, trustworthy. I looked at the flowers, then at the photograph hidden inside my drawer. For 7 years, I believed I knew everything about the man standing in front of me. Now, I wasn't even sure I knew his real life, and deep inside, a frightening thought appeared. What if the biggest betrayal wasn't the woman in the photograph? What if she was only a small piece of a secret much bigger than I could imagine? The flowers stayed on the kitchen table for 3 days. Every time I walked past them, I felt the same strange feeling. They looked beautiful, but they reminded me of the photograph hidden in my bedroom drawer. Daniel acted exactly the same as always. He laughed at my jokes. He asked about my meetings. He kissed me goodbye every morning. If he was hiding something, he never let it show. That was the hardest part. When someone lies badly, you notice. When someone lies well, you question yourself instead. So I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe the anonymous caller wanted to break us apart. Maybe the picture had an innocent explanation. Maybe I wanted those maybes to be true. Then Friday arrived. Daniel said he had to leave early for an important client presentation. He even showed me a folder filled with documents before walking out the door. "I'll probably be late," he said. "Don't wait for dinner." I smiled and wished him luck. An hour later, I realized he had forgotten his tablet. Normally, I would have sent him a message. Instead, I decided to surprise him by dropping it off at his office. The receptionist looked confused when I mentioned his name. "Daniel, yes." She checked the schedule twice. "He isn't here today." I laughed. He told me he had a presentation." She shook her head gently. "No presentations today." For a second, I couldn't breathe. Maybe he was meeting a client somewhere else. That had to be it. I thanked her and walked back to my car, repeating that explanation over and over, until my phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. "Presentation is going well. Talk tonight." I stared at those words. He wasn't just somewhere else. He was actively telling me a story that wasn't true. It was the first lie I could prove. And somehow, that hurt more than I expected. Because once you catch one lie, every memory begins asking for evidence. I drove home instead of calling him. I needed to think. That evening, I opened an old box of photos from our first years together. Vacations, birthdays, weekend trips. I noticed something odd. Daniel had always insisted on planning every trip, every hotel, every reservation, every schedule. At the time, I thought he was simply organized. Now it felt different. What else had he carefully controlled without me noticing? Around midnight, I heard the front door. Daniel walked in looking tired. "Long day," he sighed. I nodded. "Jazz, how did the presentation go?" Without hesitation, he smiled. "It was great. The client loved the proposal. The answer came so quickly. Too quickly. He had rehearsed it." I simply said, "That's good, Jazz." For the first time in 7 years, I didn't believe a single word.